Welcome to our Massive Momentum Monday. It is September 16th, and I'm super excited for today. We are going to hear from Caytie Frampton and Brenda Smith. These guys are going to train us on some awesome leadership development. I have seen both Brenda and Caytie develop major as leaders, and I've seen them at events, and I've been able to just kind of watch these guys become amazing leaders. And I still remember coaching Caytie and at one point being like, Caytie, you realize you have a team, right? Do you remember that, Caytie? And you were like, I do. Like, you're on a team. And then one day you realize you've been looking up to your leaders, and just one day it clicks in your head, wait a second, I have a team. People are looking to me. And you start to realize you have to develop those leadership skills because you're starting to lead now instead of follow. And it's kind of fun and exciting and scary all at the same time. So I'm excited to hear more about it. Does anybody have any announcements that they want to announce, events or anything before we get started? Just go ahead and take yourself off of mute if you have anything. Okay. Well, put in the chat if we miss you. Okay, thanks so much. And I'm going to turn the time over to Caytie. Wait, Caytie, right? Are you going to start us off? Okay, Caytie is going to start us off with our training today. Thanks so much.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm on my husband's computer today and I'm a little tech challenged. Okay, so yes, I totally remember that. And it goes along perfectly with how I wanted to start out. So I remember my first convention, and I was with Steph, and she had her little baby team, and I think I was associate director, which was way farther than I ever thought I would get in the company or in my business. So I was pretty psyched about it. But at the same time, you know, you go to conventions or you go to these events and they start dream weaving with you, and they have you think of, you know, the vision that you have for your life and your business and all that kind of stuff. And they want you to write down what your big, hairy, audacious goals are and stuff. And I'm like, I don't have any. Because I kind of started to panic because I knew that, you know, there's only so far you can go in your business, like ED, I think, before you can't grow any farther without structure. And I didn't have any coaches with me. I hit ED frontline volume and I was comfortable there because I had learned how to coach clients, but I did not want to coach coaches. That scared me to death. And so, so I didn't write any goals down because I didn't want to be a leader. And I remember talking to Steph about that, and she's like, just think next year at convention, you'll have your own team. And I'm like, I don't see that. I just couldn't see it. But of course, that's what your mentors are for, because they can see it before you can. And it's kind of cool. So I think I just had so many concepts that I had to work through, and you know, that's normal for all of us. But it's like Jared always says that, you know, fear comes from not having the skill set yet. And I definitely did not have the skill set to be a leader. And that is what is so genius about the 6 habits of transformational leadership. And I started off learning about these, and I thought they were like the most brilliant things I'd ever heard of. And I have notebooks and notebooks full of notes on the hot 6. That's what they call it, the hot 6. And by the way, I'm just going to plug events again, because this is where you learn this kind of stuff. You don't learn this from just doing it all on your own. You have to go and repeatedly hear this. So I have notes upon notes of all of this stuff. And honestly, I had the biggest aha moment with the hot 6 at this last convention when Dan Bell got up and was talking about it. And he just has this like relaxed, matter-of-fact way of like dropping truth bombs on you. It's really awesome. But basically he describes leadership as a process, just like our health is a process or anything else like that. It's a process. We don't arrive at being a leader and all of a sudden it's like, oh yay, I'm a leader. It's like you grow into it, then you keep growing, just like with our health and our we do the 5-in-1 to lose weight, but our health journey doesn't stop there. It keeps going. You have to keep working on it. And where we are today is different from where we were and different from where we're going to be in the future. So Steph has seen my progress since my very beginning, and I think she would agree that I'm kind of a completely different person. And that's what's cool to go about with your clients and your coaches and watching them grow. And I've gotten to watch her grow as a leader, and it's super exciting. But basically, leadership is a way of showing up. It's a way of being. It's how you show up every day for yourself and for your people. And it requires, I loved how he said this, it requires a foundational shift. And so I started thinking about that, and a foundation is something you build on, and you have to make that foundation strong and sturdy. And so that's where the 6 habits of transformational leadership come in. So he broke it down for us this time, and I'm sure I'd heard this before, but it just kind of hit me this time. But basically, the first 3 are about developing yourself. 4 and 5 are about developing leaders or developing others. And then 6 is about developing organizations. So I'm going to take the first 3 today. I'm going to talk about developing self. And then we're going to hear from Brenda. She's going to take 4, 5, and 6, which I think is super appropriate because she has an awesome organization right now. But I love how Dr. A puts it. Basically, he says leadership is everything. Self-leadership is everything. So then Dan Bell says your business will only grow as much as you do personally. You have to continually work on your personal development. And that is what I love about coaching. So the first habit of transformational leadership is we lead from the future, we act in the now, right? So basically it's structural tension. I mean, we teach this to our clients. It's structural tension, and it starts with decision making. So we've talked about this a lot lately, that making a decision, the word decide means you cut off all other options. There are no exceptions. You cut off all other options. And then what happens is that action automatically follows that. So when we decide to get healthy, what do? What's our decision? To go on the 5-in-1. And then our actions follow that. Okay. And so, all right, when I was at a training, I think April, when I was at a training in April, Dave Blanchard got up and he was speaking about this first habit, and he broke it down like this. So we lead from the future. What do we want to create? We act in the now. What are we willing to do? What non-negotiable actions am I willing to take? Hold on, sorry.
My favorite part about being a coach is realizing that we are also moms, coaches, husbands, wives, and your life doesn't stop, right? When we get on training, this is what always happens.
Seriously. It's like every time I start talking, she comes in. Okay, sorry.
Sometimes you think, well, I can't do that training because I have a child at home. And then you say yes anyway. And then you're like, here comes my child, just like I knew they would. And then
every time, it's like she knows.
You gave everybody on this call permission to do the same thing and realize that we all have real lives going on, but you chose to say yes anyways. Okay, so thank you for giving us all permission to be real.
Okay, so I love this. He breaks it down. We lead from the future. What do we want to create? We act in the now. What are the non-negotiable actions that I'm willing to take on a daily basis to create this outcome? So again, if we're making a decision to get healthy, what are our non-negotiables? We eat our 5 feelings. We eat our lean and green. We don't buy crap at the store that's going to tempt us. So those are the secondary actions in our structural tension. So it starts with our current reality that we have to be really honest with, making our decision. And then we go to our desired outcome. And what's in the middle is our rubber band that we've stretched. And those are the daily actions. Those are the transactional things that we do consistently so that we can become transformational leaders. And I love that. I love that quote by Derwin Gray that explains what our vision is: the future reality that you are completely committed to bring into existence. So when I'm struggling with my business or whatever, I'm like, oh, I've made a decision. I'm going to do this. And I always come back to, I don't think I have made a decision. I haven't defined those non-negotiable items. And I can always find some that are negotiable still. And I just have to make them non-negotiable. So when you can get really honest with yourself, you'll find the cracks in your system and you can patch them up and keep going. So I was really needing some inspiration for this call, and I wasn't finding much. And so I prayed really hard and I got in the shower because it's my thinking place. And I just kept coming back to this example that I have that was kind of huge in my life. So back in 2013, I was going through some crappy stuff and trying to learn a lot. Thought I was like being super strong and all that kind of stuff. And I started turning to exercise to help myself get through it, and started running a little bit. I hate running. I'm super bad at it. But I turned to running because I could like process things in my head and get some energy out and anxiety and stuff like that. And my sister-in-law decided to captain a Ragnar team in Las Vegas. And I had never done a Ragnar, but had always wanted to. And for those of you who don't know what Ragnar is, it's basically like a 200-mile relay. There's 36 sections, 12 runners. You each do 3 runs, and they're all different difficulties and stuff like that. So we had gotten kind of a young team together, like her daughter, a couple of my nieces, a couple of younger girls, and we were and I was her co-captain. And basically you just kind of run nonstop for a couple of days. And so we had picked our runs and everything like that. Well, then there was, I don't know if you guys remember all those forest fires back in 2013, but they kind of affected the course. And so they had to totally reroute the course, and it affected our runs. So like a couple weeks before the race, they rerouted my niece's run and gave her this 10-mile hill. Like, and my first thought was, Annette's going to ask me to run this because she doesn't want her daughter to run this, because it's in the middle of the night and it's uphill for 10 miles and there's no way. And so sure enough, like the next day I get a call from Annette. She's like, they changed the runs. I'm like, I know. I said, I'll do it. I don't want her to be out there in the dark. I'll do it. She's like, thank you. So I had been training, I'd been prepping because I made a decision. I'm going to do Ragnar. So what are my action steps? So that same day I went out and I was like, I've got to do some hills. And hills, I hate hills. Like any runner hates hills, but I decided I had to do some hills. And so I made a decision that I was just going to work some hills in and do the best I could. And so I did it, and I kept doing these hills, and they kept getting easier and easier. As I practiced, they would get easier. And so we went to Ragnar, and we are heading into the nighttime runs, and it's my turn to run, and I know I've got this hill ahead of me. So I put in my headphones, and I've got my little snacks, and put a coat on because I knew that, at night it can get kind of cold. So I was super prepared, okay? All of my practice, all of my training had prepared me for what I was in for, but not really. So we get there. They park in the mall parking lot so that I can start my run. And I go up this hill. It's beautiful, tree-lined residential place. And all of a sudden I turn a corner and the city cuts off and goes black. And I'm now in the desert with no street lights. I have my one little headlamp, no street lights, blackness everywhere except what my light is shining on the road. And I have never felt so alone and unprepared for anything in my whole life. It was 1:00 in the morning in the desert in Nevada, and I have 10 miles of hill ahead of me. No other runners. We were like last to the pack, so all the runners had gone on before us. And this run was non-negotiable. I had to do this. I had to run this. And I was certainly glad that I was running it and not one of my nieces. But I learned so much about myself in this 10 miles. And because of my preparation and everything that I had faced before, I ran 10 miles uphill without stopping once. I didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't get water because I had my own. And I knew there was a little dip at the top at 7 miles in, and it kind of went down for a minute and then it went back up. And then I knew once I hit that dip that I was about 3 miles away. So I get up there, I hit the dip, and I don't have time. There's another story that goes along with that, but I want to give Brenda some time. But anyway, just obstacles along the way, but I kept running. I had my goal in sight, and it was non-negotiable. I was going to run. And had I walked the whole thing, it would have taken me hours and hours and hours. But I was able to do the fat man shuffle up the hill and just keep going. And anyway, it was a huge, huge moment for me to reach the end of that. So we'll come back to that in a minute, but I want to quickly go into number 2, which is we take responsibility, we play above the line. So this concept was completely new to me when I started coaching. I had no idea what this meant. And the more I dug into it, like the more eye-opening it was for me about how below the line I had been living. And I thought it was like, oh, I'm a strong person. I've been through stuff. I'm like, wow, I am so below the line. I can't even stand it. So this has been really meaningful for me in my life. And I was reading just this morning in your life book, which if you haven't dug into this, oh my gosh, you're missing out so much. So he goes into this right off the bat with our clients, right? So this morning I read, let's do a quick review using our above the line visual as a guide. Remember, you have decided to take full responsibility for whatever happens during your day. You also know that sometimes you will drift below the line. The keystone habit you are building is to be able to shift back above the line using stop, challenge, choose to help keep your thinking brain as your guide versus the reactive, emotional Labrador brain. So when I hit that dark spot in the desert, all kinds of thoughts are going through my head. And I had to stop, and I literally stopped, not knowing what I was doing, but I stopped and I was like, okay, what's going to get me out here? There's coyotes, but I've never heard of a coyote attack, so I think I'm good. There's wild mules and horses, probably good there. So the only threat that I really have is my fear of the darkness and any possible pervert that might be on the side of the road waiting for lone runners to come up the hill, which I did encounter, but anyway, that's later. So I actually felt pretty physically safe. It was all the mental stuff that I had to really work with. But, I stopped and I was like, okay, I'm not going to die out here. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to die. I probably won't die. So let's just keep going. But it is that whole mental energy and getting back above the line once you notice that you're below the line. And then really quick, number 3, we seek growth. We embrace obstacles as the way. So what does that even mean? I still struggle with this sometimes, but basically it's what we try to teach our clients, right? As we practice, like you've had those clients who are like, oh, well, I had a family party. And so, I just decided to go off plan. When my clients tell me this, I'm like, oh my gosh, those are the perfect opportunities to practice. Those obstacles, those huge obstacles are so great at honing your mental skills, your discipline skills. Like those are such great practice. And whenever I put it that way, they're like, oh, yeah, that's true. I'm like, weekends are great practice. Like if you can master the weekends, if you can master family parties, you've got this. This is totally easy. And that's basically what our obstacles are, right? They're a training ground. They're a training ground to get us to practice our skills, hone our skills for what comes next. And if you look back down the road, you can see all your stepping stones, which were once big, huge boulders, but they're now stepping stones to get you where you've gotten to. So when I was going up that huge hill, I was prepared. I had my coat on. I had my energy packs. I had my headphones in. I had my headlamp. I had my vest. I had my prayers. I had God. I had my legs that had trained up hills. Like I had all this stuff that all came together to help me get over this huge obstacle. And man, it was a mental obstacle. But every time I look at this now, it hangs in my closet. It's just so super meaningful. And I posted this quote today. Says, the major reason for setting a goal is for what it makes of you to accomplish it. What it makes of you will always be the far greater value than what you get. So I don't even care about that stupid medal. It's what I feel when I look at it and remember all the things that I went through and learned. And after I ran that 10 miles up the road in the dark, no one will ever be able to take that from me. And no one could have ever helped me learn the things I learned that night. And it seems really stupid to other people, or, people that wouldn't have been a big deal to, but it was a huge deal for me in so many ways. So as we get to, as we progress in our journey, it's what we learn about ourselves that gets us to the next place. And that's where that's what she's going to teach us about.
Caytie, I want to jump in really quick and just say thank you. That was such a beautiful presentation of those first three of the Hot Six. I put those in the chat for those of you that are following along in the chat. We lead from the future, we act in the now, we take responsibility and play above the line, we seek growth, we embrace the obstacle as the way. And I have to say, I've never understood why people run Ragnar. But now hearing your story, I got the goosebumps, and it's just about doing things we didn't know if we could do. And when we do them, there's nothing like that feeling. So thank you for you. I'm so glad that you used that story, because it was such a beautiful illustration of being prepared, using that preparation, and then following through. That was really, really meaningful to me. So thank you. And I know a lot of us, like, we get to teach this. Isn't that cool? We get to change people's lives by teaching this. So Brenda, we're so excited to hear from you. And thank you, Caytie.
Thanks, Steph. I am excited to be here. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So Steph and Caytie have actually been mentors of mine, like from day one. I mean, starstruck, These ladies are so beautiful and so talented. So super excited and honored actually to be on here today. I actually did just a little PowerPoint because I'm kind of a visual person. So I'm just gonna share that really quick. Right here, sorry. There we go. And it's not where it should be, of course. Hold on. Goodness. I'm going to go back. There we go. Habit number 4 is the first habit that I'm going to go over today, which is to connect authentically and cultivate trust. And I love it when people are authentic. It truly is so fun I don't know about you, but I am not okay when I feel like people are being fake and not being true to this, how they are as a person. Always come from a place of empathy and compassion. That's what Blaine and I try to reiterate with our coaches is, just be yourself, be compassionate, and listen. Listening is one of the most important things. And that was why I put at the top to be an active listener, because sometimes I get carried away with talking all the time. And even my kids are like, Mom, you know everyone, you're friends with everyone. So I have to remind myself to be very authentic and be active and listen to them. As soon as you bring your first client into the community, you're a leader and you're helping them to succeed in their journey. And I kind of had to ask myself, how do you do that? You build relationships through meaningful connections and conversations, and be really present. And by being present, you're listening intently to them. Skipping. And as you're listening, you want to cultivate that trust. I remember talking to one of our coaches not too long ago, and just, they were frustrated. Things aren't going the way I want, and it's just not going as quickly as I want. And I said, well, you'll hear this a lot, but we're planting seeds and we're cultivating trust. And by listening and cultivating that trust, those seeds have been planted, and it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next week, but you will help this person when they are ready. Because if they're not ready, it's not going to work. It won't work for them, and it'll just be a struggle along the way. So as an Optavia leader, when you focus on another person, trust yourself to be present first. Then begin cultivating that person's trust by demonstrating to them that you are present and you're listening, and then feeding back what they shared with you. So when you're doing a health assessment, really listen and take notes. And don't just go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, but be there and take notes. And then after they're done sharing with you, try not to interrupt them, because I'm kind of bad at that sometimes, but try not to interrupt them, but reiterate back to them. Okay, so I heard you say you want to be comfortable in your own skin, and you want to, you want to fit in your jeans, and you want to play with your grandchildren. So just kind of share that back with them to let them know you truly were listening. You're not doing this just to make a check on the paper to say that you finished that. So this should be done by responding through the lens of what you think should be, but rather by responding in a way that allows them to feel that you have listened deeply and you've been there for them, and that you're helping them feel safe. So then the next of the hot 6 is the habit number 5, and that is that we awaken potential and we transform masterfully. So it was interesting to me. I was reading up a little bit because I am kind of new to this. I mean, I'm just a year brand new, and this is kind of my first training. So, but in reading it, it talked about how the habit 5 allows us to perfect our understanding and employment of the first 3 habits that Caytie talked about as we take others through their own transformational journey. So when we're acting on our own potential, we're awakening others to do the same. If we're confident in ourselves, we build that confidence in our clients, and in turn in our coaches. And then when that confidence comes, the skills come too. So also, we transform masterfully. This is the second part of our number 5 habit. And we call ourselves agents of transformation. We come from a place of empathy, like I talked about earlier. Just be really compassionate. Sometimes people just need you to listen. Curiosity helps others explore what matters most to them. Because sometimes, a lot of times as a mom, you don't think of yourself. And I know dads do the same. We put our kids first, and others first. Our parents, our siblings. We usually don't put ourselves first. So explore what matters most to that person that you're talking to at that time. And also, we awaken people to the understanding that they too can transform their lives. Every simple habit, every healthy decision, and every positive change leads to more. I really liked this quote. It's listed in a couple different places, but it's by Helen Irwin, and it's a transformational leader will stimulate and inspire extraordinary outcomes, and in the pursuit of that, they will develop their own leadership capabilities. So if you want to, I wanted to see if you would put in the chat what you feel like to you it means to be authentic. Just put something in there quickly if you want to, as I get to the 6th habit, and that is deliver extraordinary results and serving to better mankind. So this last habit, I remember hearing this one of the first times about how our story may be extraordinary, but it's not unique. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? I think it was in Vegas when I first heard it last year. And I was like, okay. But it's the universe plays no favorites. We all have to do the work and make a decision that we're willing to do whatever it takes to get what we want and what's best for us. I'm willing to make the the disciplines every day to move forward and to bring others with us. to move forward, not just ourselves excel. So if we bring others with us, with our positive attitudes and our healthy habits and things that we're teaching, it will be better for all of us. And that's what we do as a team. We decide that we're not special, but we're going to take this opportunity and go out and do what is necessary to be spectacular, because that's how we're going to change the world. As Dr. A always says, let's go out and change the world one healthy habit at a time. We see the results we deliver as extraordinary, and we consistently set new goals to create incremental growth in ourselves and in others. Because if we were to grow as much as we wanted to in one day, it just wouldn't happen. It's slow, and we have to be patient with ourselves. And also as coaches, I think we need to remember to be patient with some of our clients and meet them just where they're at. They need to be accountable for their choices, but we need to just kind of cheer them on and remind them of how great they are. We are mission driven, and we understand how our business goals are aligned with our mission. We always consider the bigger picture in our decisions and continually act for the benefit of all. I think we might be a little short on time. I'll just kind of skip to the end. Sorry, Steph, did you say something?
No, I was just going to say, keep going. We'll go a few minutes over. This is so good.
Okay.
So good.
So I just had a few questions that I kind of like to think through myself and sometimes review with some of my clients. What will I stop doing? What will I start doing that will help me get to where I want to be? What will I continue doing? And how will I start living up to my full potential and live a more extraordinary life? I had just made a little note, let me just see really quick on my paper, that I love being a part. I'm just going to stop sharing here. Oh, figure this out. Stop share. There we go. Love being a part of Up to Via because you're never alone. Like I said in the beginning, Caytie and Steph have been mentors. Blaine and I went to the Vegas event last November, and that was our first event. And we kind of went thinking, okay, we're going to learn how to do this and this and this, and it's going to be structured. And we left thinking, oh my gosh, these people love us, and they just want us to be successful and learn how to love people and share this wonderful gift that we've been given. I just love that we're never alone. There's training and mentorship all along the way, whether you're a client or a coach, you're never alone. And I also love that there's videos and exercises for each of these hot six and you can find them on coachanswers.optavia.com. So thank you for the opportunity. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Brenda and Caytie, that was epic. You guys, this is one that is recorded, and I will be going back to listen and watch again because there were so many things that each of you said that I personally needed to hear this week. So thank you so much. You guys touched my heart. And I think that there's something so special about coaching, and it's so hard because it's continually pushing us out of our comfort zone to be a better version of ourselves. And I don't think we necessarily do that in life. It's like what we should be doing, but there's nobody pushing us. And then we come into coaching and we're like, ow, this hurts. Stop pushing me so hard. But then we become the person who we always needed to be for ourselves, for our spouse, for our children, for our family, for our coaches, for our clients. And it's so beautiful to do this with you guys because I know the pain. I personally know the pain of becoming a better version of myself. And I know how hard it is. And I see you guys, and one of the best parts about being a mentor coach is I've gotten to be on Zooms with a lot of you experiencing your pain. And I know, and we all have it. We all have different stories and we all have different hard things we go through, but the coolest part is we get to do it together and we get to share our hearts with each other and we get to grow and learn, and it hurts, but it's beautiful and it's the best part of my life. So anyway, thank you so much to you too. Sorry for crying. I appreciate you and I love you, and I can't wait to repost this. Thanks for being here today, everybody. Love you.